pulling out right in front. And really good close racing. Wonderful stuff. It's the season finale for the ADAC GT Masters 2025. Just 2 races remaining in the 19th season of the League of Super Sports Cars. We've had 6 endurance races. We've had 4 sprint races. There are now just 2 more sprint races left to decide the champions of 2025. And there's every possibility that championship decision may come with 1 race remaining as we look at Finn Wiebelhaus, who, along with Simon Vega, has a 40-point lead in the championship. Leighton Furry and Tim Zimmerman in 2nd place with 140 points. The championship leaders with 180. Simon Birch and Leo Pickler are just about in the championship hunt. They've improved their chances in this race by scoring a pole position. It was Simon Birch in challenging conditions this morning who put the number 14, Razzoon, more than racing Porsche on pole position. He earned a very valuable 3 points, but it is something of a stretch to even take the championship into tomorrow because Simon Vega and Finn Wiebelhaus need to only finish in 6th place in this race. It doesn't matter what anyone else does. If they finish in 6th place or better, they will be champions with 1 race remaining. But there's still racing to come. The points aren't paid out until they receive the checkered flag, and conditions are very, very tricky here at the Hockenheimring. The rain has been coming down, well, fairly consistently earlier this afternoon. It's now stopped and started to dry out a bit, but the track is very, very greasy. It was greasy for qualifying this morning, challenging the drivers as they negotiate this 4.574 kilometer circuit. So we've got a race today and a race tomorrow, and with a Vega and Finn Wiebelhaus with that 40-point lead, they don't need to take any risks. But that car there, the Leighton Furry, Tim Zimmerman, number 11, FK Performance Motorsport BMW, has all the work to do. And Tim Zimmerman has qualified the car in 4th place this morning. They need to win this race to stand any chance at all of taking it into tomorrow. And as already said, Vega and Wiebelhaus can pretty well rest on their laurels and just bring the thing home. We also have other championships to think about, and in the Silver Cup, Simon Vega and Finn Wiebelhaus are 39 points clear of Leighton Furry and Tim Zimmerman in that. In the team championship, Hout Racing and FK Performance are the only 2 teams that are able to win the title, and Hout Racing has a 62-point lead over FK Performance. In the road to DTM, Finn Wiebelhaus leads Simon Vega by 9 points, so a little battle amongst the teammates there. And in the Pro-Am Championship, Alex Fack and Alexander Schwarzer lead Emil Yerdrum and Jonas Karklees by 32 points. So if Alex Fack and Alexander Schwarzer can receive the checkered flag today, they will become the Pro-Am champions. They will retain the Pro-Am championship with 1 race remaining. But getting to the checkered flag is going to be tricky because, as I've already mentioned, the conditions are certainly something that is going to test the drivers very much. I'm just looking out the window, and a mechanic has just rushed to Finn Wiebelhaus's car, opened the door. Okay, looks like we're all okay. He's now closed the door again, but the engines are running on the cars, and in just a few moments we will be getting ready for the first of 2 sprint races this weekend. Because of the conditions, there are going to be 2 formation laps. That allows the drivers to generate a bit of heat in the tyres. I think they're all going to be on wet weather tyres, considering the slippery conditions. There is a bit of a dry line, but I think it would be a brave driver who goes for slicks in these conditions. So those 2 formation laps will give the drivers an opportunity to generate heat into the tyres and into the brakes. Tyre warmers not allowed in GT Masters. So that hopefully when we arrive at turn 1 at racing speed, they will have plenty with which to stop and indeed get round the corner. It's the 13th time that the GT Masters finale has been at the Hockenheimring. It's the 19th season of the League of Super Sports Cars, and we are getting ready for this, the first of 2 races. The cars starting on their formation lap. Alongside me for this race, and hopefully for the race tomorrow, I'd like to say good afternoon to the voice of DTM, Chris Hartley.
Thanks very much indeed, Brian. Yeah, welcome everybody. This is going to be tricky because the weather radar suggests that the worst of the rain is gone and that this is going to be a greasy, drying circuit. So a stressful time ahead, for the drivers and teams, Brian.
Simon Birch mastered those conditions this morning. Pole position, Sandra Holzem. Good job from him. It was Simon Birch's first ever pole position in GT Masters, just as an aside. Dennis Bulatov made a challenge towards the end of qualifying, but couldn't quite get there. Tim Zimmerman, though, row 2 for those 2 drivers. That is a very good job. Janis Fitcher, Nicholas Callas line up on row 3, Mercedes versus Ford Mustang. And on row 4 of the grid, the championship leader, Finn Wiebelhaus, along with Salman Vega, doesn't need to take any risk. Julian Hanses alongside. He will be looking for trophies. Simon Prim is on row 5, and we got a problem already. Tim Hooter, in these conditions, has had a trauma. I said it was going to be tricky out there, so he's up on the exit of turn 4, just coming in to the Parabolica, and if he hopefully can get that moving and rejoin the back of the queue, but if he can't, then this race will have a delay getting going. We are a little bit late already. We had about a half-hour delay getting the previous DTM race underway, so thank you for joining us, albeit a little bit late. We were running through the grid. We had Simon Prim, Dennis Fetzer, Alexander Schwarzer is the leading Pro-Am driver with Jonas Karklees, and then it was Tim Hooter, but of course we've just seen him have that moment, and he's kept it going, he's kept it out of the wall, so hopefully he's able to rejoin the back of the queue and we can get things running. And then bringing up the rear with issues, mechanical issues in quali, Carrie Schreiner in the number 68 Land Motorsport Audi. So the car's out on the first formation lap, and with Tim Hooter rolling to the back of the queue, we should be able to get this going. But as we were about to mention, yes, the championship very much in sight for Finn Wiebelhaus and Salman Vega. Vega, of course, has done it before, the 2023 champion. But tricky conditions, as Tim Hooter has just proven, and the points are not paid out until they cross the line.
Absolutely right, but with a win and a second last time out, Salman Vega, champion 2 years ago, Finn Wiebelhaus, his driving partner, given themselves a bit less stress coming into this weekend. A 40-point advantage. There's only going to be 28 points left on the table, left available after this race. So it's up to Leighton Fury and Tim Zimmerman to close the gap. Significantly, he's going to stay in the hunt. They had a pretty poor weekend at the Red Bull Ring. The BMW, the FK Performance BMW, just struggled all weekend long, really, for pace. They were 11th in race 1, 8th in race 2. Lost quite a few places as well, with bits of contact in that final part of the first race of the weekend. And it's just as well, really, because I was speaking to Salman and Finn this morning after qualifying, and they were saying it's really tough on us this weekend with the balance of performance, the things they do to equalise these very different GT3 cars, which have different weights, different engine sizes. Some are turbo, some are normally aspirated, so you can tweak things to try and equalise things. And there was quite a significant change this morning for the Ford Mustangs, in that the air restrictor, which allows the amount of air into the engine, more air that comes in, the more the engine can breathe, the more power it has. They started the day with, or started the weekend with 38mm restrictors. They've now got one that's 35 and one that's 36, which they reckon is worth about half a second a lap. Now, they have been given back some weights. They're actually 30 kg lighter than they were at the start of the weekend, but it's the power that's the real issue. And Finn Wiebelhaus was saying, look, if we can get from 8th on the grid, if we can get a 5th place finish, we'll be pleased with that. If we get a podium, it'll be a miracle. But we know we've just got to have 2 solid days, maybe just 1 solid day to wrap up the championship. As for Carrie Schreiner from the back of the grid, caught up with her. It was a gear-related issue, gear selection issue, that meant she didn't get any laps done in qualifying this morning. Our home circuit this as well for Carrie. She was trying to upshift and it was downshifting, but the team Land have sorted the car out, so that's Carrie Schreiner Audi. We'll have to try and come from the back of the grid now with Alan Valente, our experienced driver, to get on board after the pit stops, the man mandatory pit stops in the middle 10 minutes of the race, between 25 and 35 minutes into the race. But will there be extra pit stops, Brian? Is that track going to dry out? Is the wet tyre going to be the one to be driving on in the next 15 minutes' time? Let's wait and see.
Yes, because there is rain in the air and it might all change yet. But you can see the cars now running side by side. The clock starts on the second formation lap. In fact, you can see the raindrops hitting the camera lens there. The windscreen wipers going on board with championship leader Finn Wieberhaus. The cars looking nice side by side. The race director has instructed them they must pass through the grid boxes, so they cannot drop out of formation early. We have to wait for those green lights to come on. So we're getting ready for the race 11 of a 12-race season, the penultimate race of season 2025 for ADAC GT Masters is go. And what a start from Dennis Bulatov, ducking to the inside of Simon Birch into turn one. Birch taking a very wide line. Sandro Holzem there as well, but Bulatov being fairly audacious, but now dropping back into third place. Tim Zimmermann knows he needs to move forwards. He needs to move forwards quickly, so he goes to the outside of the Audi, but Simon Birch makes it around the first couple of corners, so leads the way. Tim Hooter, after that moment on the formation lap, at the back of the pack, so he was able to rejoin the queue. But Sandro Holzem now lining up Simon Birch, challenging for the lead out along the parabolica, taken absolutely flat out, then heavy braking into the hairpin they come. Simon Birch has the line at the moment, as long as he can get it slowed down, all good. Julian Hanses on the wide outside, going three abreast. Finn Wieberhaus sees Julian Hanses come sailing past, so Finn Wieberhaus dropping down a position, needs to stay out of trouble, but Simon Birch, great job there at the start of the race, fending off all sorts of attacks from behind, leading the way, but that's no such luxury. Further back, there was Janis Vitscher getting stuck in as well in the number 21 car, and then going wide into the runoff area. Was that with Tim Zimmermann? I think it was. So Tim Zimmermann, the main challenger for the championship, getting involved with Janis Vitscher, dropping back through the order, and now Finn Wieberhaus muscling in front of Tim Zimmermann. Meanwhile, Sandro Holzem and Dennis Bulatov have been instructed to change position, so the race directors clearly deciding that Sandro Holzem does not deserve that second place, or is it a change that was since then? Because at the moment, Bulatov is in front of Sandro Holzem, so I don't know whether that instruction came before or after that first lap incident that the director would have been looking at. Out along the pit straight we come once again. All of that is of no importance to Simon Birch. He's broken clear out the front, but damage to Tim Zimmermann in the number 11 FK Performance BMW. So that encounter with Janis Vitscher and the left rear looking a bit second-hand.
Yes, a very lively start on a track where they just went into it in the deep unknown, really. No idea how little grip there was available. Get a replay of this jostle, just the contact with the left rear corner of the BMW of Zimmermann and the front right of the Mercedes of Vitscher. They both went wide, they both dropped down the order as a result of that. So Zimmermann ended up in 6th place. Look at this side by side for the final spot on the podium. Sandro Holzem coming under attack from Nicholas Callas in the maroon and white Ford Mustang, the number 3 car. That's what it looks like to be bearing down upon you. The Ford Mustang flicks right, flicks left. There's a right-hander coming up into turn 7. You've got Janis Vitscher trying to find a way past Tim Zimmermann as well. That's the battle now for 6th place. And look, the BMW is devoid of its bumper almost, completely hanging off the rear corner of the car now, which is a worry. It's not really affecting the handling. It's the lack of grip on the track, which is the issue for Tim Zimmermann at the moment, plus the fact that he's trying to fend off Janis Vitscher. So they are battling away. Meanwhile, Sandro Holzem has dropped down an order, down a position. He's now got the next BMW to try and deal with. So Nicholas Callas looks like he's made it up into a podium position in 3rd place, and Holzem is only just about fending off Julian Hanses here in the black and white BMW, which almost made a move on the way to the Sachs-Curve.
Hanses, man on a mission, moving his way forwards. Holzem cuts across the grass. Well, there's no traction to be had there, so that's a gift for Julian Hanses. Meanwhile, at the front, Tim Zimmermann, I think the black and orange BMW may well get the black and orange flag shown at it, because that back bumper flailing, I think our race director might decide that that is a hazard. We'll see what happens there. At the moment, though, he's got bigger fish to fry. Has Janis Vitscher to the outside, and Tim Zimmermann, 4th, 6th place, just going wide, sailing past. Zimmermann relegated down the order. Not the start they wanted. Just behind them, the championship leader, but he in turn has Simon Connor Prim challenging him for position. So a lot of fighting further back. As you can see, if the race finished now, Salmon Vega, Finn Wiebelhaus would have the championship sewn up well and truly with one race still remaining.
Yeah, with Fury and Zimmerman even dropping down to third place behind Pickler and Birch, who having a really good run of it at the moment. Birch making the most of this first pole position. 2 seconds clear now of Denis Bolotov. Denis was one of the stars at the Lausitz ring when it was wet, wasn't it? And finished second. Was absolutely going for the race win, catching the leader, but tried so hard that he had a spin, lost time, got going again, caught up again, but couldn't quite get the win. They got their first win, though, those two, last time out at the Red Bull Ring at Spielberg, and that was off the back of a torrid weekend at Salzburg, where a massive crash had happened, and they were out before they even got the race underway. So they completely missed out on any points whatsoever, Denis Bolotov and his teammate that had the crash in the first place there at the Salzburg ring. And speaking to them this morning, they were like, yeah, it's been a tough season. We've had a couple of bad rounds. We had a round where we didn't score any points, but they have had a couple of highlights. Bolotov driving well. Zimmerman, though, struggling at the moment, losing another place there, dropping down behind the Simon Connor Prim Lamborghini. So falling down towards the tail end of the top 10 at the moment. That bumper looks like it's causing real issues now.
Yes, and I do wonder whether they're going to get called into the pits to get that sorted out. This is all a bit of a gift for Finn Wiebelhaus, who just needs to hold it together, now challenging along the pit straight in towards turn 1, just playing it cool and holding it together. Right, this is a replay of Zimmerman. That's Simon Connor Prim in the background. We're looking back from the perspective of Tim Zimmerman. That was into turn 2, wasn't it? Then that was the view from Finn Wiebelhaus as Simon Connor Prim comes sailing through on the inside, but Wiebelhaus doesn't need to take any risks at all. Some great onboards here, some replays. This was earlier on, Janis Fitcher and Tim Zimmerman as well, and that's Nicholas Callas getting it wrong under braking. So the third place car going deep on the hairpin. That'll allow Julian Hanses to close in on him. It's so tricky there, and I think the rain is in the air, so it's starting to spit a little bit. So we continue to ride, and now on board with the leader of the Pro-Ams, Alexander Schwarzer, currently in 10th place, and now damage on the other side of the Tim Zimmerman BMW. You can see smoke coming from it. Is this going to be their championship disappearing in smoke? Literally, Tim Zimmerman, Leighton Fury, who share that car. The car is clearly in trouble, falling apart. They are passed by Alexander Schwarzer, getting shuffled down the order, and it could be championship over for Leighton Fury and Tim Zimmerman, because that car looks like it might be about to come in for retirement. And there was contact on that side by the championship leader, Finn Wiebelhaus. So the two cars just making slight contact, and that was enough to then do damage to both sides at the rear of that BMW.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's got a right rear puncture now, potentially, because he slowed right up, didn't he, after that contact. Feels like either way he could do it, just getting rid of that bumper coming into the pits now, because it's massively hindering his performance. So Birch leads, gap has been cut. Oh, look at that, Sandro Olsson way out wide. Through comes Janis Fitcher in the Mercedes. Olsson's race not exactly going according to plan here. Down to 6th place. He was second at one point on the first lap of the race. Yeah, fastest lap of the race last time around for Denis Bolotov, 149.5, 3/10 quicker than Simon Birch, but Simon has just responded with a mega first sector, which was half a second up on Denis Bolotov. The BMW of Tim Zimmerman coming into the pits, but limping into the pits now. Already lost a load of time. He's lost about a third of a lap. And is it going to be a puncture as well as that problem with the rear bumper? And can they get him back out? And can he stay on the lead lap to have half a fighting chance? Doesn't look good. He crawls in, and yeah, they are looking at the right rear tyre. I think it has deflated.
Yes, and the engine is off. The car stationary in the pits. Well, they didn't take long to get the bumper off, did it? It was mostly off already, so they're now set to work on that deflated tyre. Having another look here, there was Finn Wiebelhaus on the left-hand side of the picture in the Mustang, and Tim Zimmerman moving across the two cars, making contact, and that was effectively game over for the FK Performance BMW. So at the front, Simon Birch leads the way. 1.712 was the gap between him and Denis Bulatov the last time they crossed the line. Nicholas Callas, despite that wide moment in the hairpin, now in third place. He is about 1.9 seconds clear of Julian Hanses, but we're watching Finn Wiebelhaus, championship leader. The race finished now. Even winning the race would not be enough for Simon Birch and Leo Pickler. It would be a championship signed and sealed by Salman Ovega and Finn Wiebelhaus, but we've still got 47.5 minutes remaining. And in about 12 minutes time, there will be a pit window that will open. It will remain open for 10 minutes. And during that window, every car will need to come in for a mandatory stop and driver change. There's no tyre changing or refueling in a sprint race, but the drivers change. There will be a minimum pit stop time from pit entry to pit exit. For all cars bar 2, the minimum pit stop time is 85 seconds. For the two cars that are marked in green on your graphic, they are Pro-Am pairings, so they will have a pit stop that is 15 seconds shorter. So if Alexander Sforza can keep Finn Wiebelhaus reasonably in contact when Alex Fack takes over, as we see Julian Hanses taking a very deep line into the hairpin as well. When Alex Fack takes over, they could potentially be propelled right up the order. So we're looking at Julian Hanses and Janis Fichter. This is the fight for fourth place. Fichter, who'd dispatched Sandra Holzem after that wild moment under braking, certainly a man moving forwards. Julian Hanses, you've got to get up pretty early in the morning to put one over him, but that Mercedes is looking really mighty, and as the rain just starts to spit in the air, that all the drivers drawing on all the skill and all the expertise that they have.
Tim Zimmerman has come out of the pits, but not before almost the entire field lapped him. It's in for 1 minute and 36 seconds. The BMW struggling for grip, and traction goes way out wide. Here comes the Mercedes. Janis Fichter trying to find a gap, can't quite do it. Julian Hanses just about keeps the BMW in front for the time being as they go through into the final turn. Bit of a wobble on there from the front of the Schnitzelam Mercedes, but then gets good traction as he goes up through the gears. Can he attack on the way into the Nordkurve, which is a fast old corner, taking to the dry at about 180 kilometers an hour. Contact between them. The BMW gets a tap from the Mercedes. They both go way off the track here, which is still very wet. Side by side there will now be as they're heading to the right-hander coming up at turn 2. The BMW on the inside line, both in front and around the outside goes the Mercedes. Julian Hanses gets the job. Janis Fichter rather gets the job done. Julian Hanses can't do anything about it, and that was a well-executed move, but it wasn't without that contact, was it, at turn 1, which will have annoyed the BMW driver. Hanses down to 5th place then, and now he gets the toe down through the parabolica. Is there going to be a gap on the way into the hairpin at the Spitzkehrer? No is the answer. The BMW closes back up under braking, tries to get on the throttle quicker, and the turbo-powered BMW engine, though, cannot quite match the traction at the moment of the Mercedes, and all the time they're both being caught up by Holzem in the BMW in 6th place and Simon Conrad Prim looking good in the Lamborghini in 7th.
But these two cars have been instructed to change position, so Janis Fichter goes nice and wide into the corner, allows Julian Hanses through, so the race director decided that contact from Janis Fichter was not within the rules, so has very wisely instructed him to give the place back. We prefer it to be settled on the track like that rather than kind of penalties and drive-throughs, so it's nice and fair, but it does mean that Janis Fichter is going to have to do all that work again for 4th place. That Mercedes AMG, though, looking very rapid. Julian Hanses going deep into the left-hand corner and then into the right-hand, but Hanses wringing the neck of the BMW. But it's going to be, as you were, action replay out of turn 17, out onto the pit straight. So once again, Julian Hanses is going to see Janis Fichter behind. Fichter is going to have something of a slipstream in towards turn 1, this time under braking. He doesn't give the BMW a punt. Into turn 1 they go. Now going very wide around the corner. Hanses moves across to close him off. In the background, Sandra Holzem and Simon Conrad Prim are loitering as well. There's also the championship leader, Finn Wiebelhaus, in the background. But Julian Hanses still fighting off the Mercedes AMG. But how much longer can he do that for? He'll be hoping that Janis Fichter just takes too much out of the tyres, maybe gets out onto the slippery outside line and makes a mistake. But at the moment, He's challenging again along the parabolica, absolutely flat out. Janis Fischer to the left-hand side, onto the outside, into the hairpin, under braking, gets the job done, this time without contact, and retakes that position. So 4th place for Janis Fischer. Now Julian Hanses has Sandro Holzem in his mirrors. Just behind him, Simon Conoprim. But Janis Fischer, very much a man on a mission. At the front, Simon Birch has 2.813 over Denis Bulatov. So very much in control of this race at the moment. We're about 7 3/4 minutes away from the pit window opening, when all things may change. Janis Fischer there in that 4th place. There is Julian Hansen, Sandro Holzem and Simon Conoprim.
Just looking at the road to DTM points for the young drivers, who are then given a step up to potentially race in the DTM with free entry into the season. Finn Wiebelhaus, as it stands, will be on 221 points, I reckon. He'd be 12 points clear of his teammate, Salman Vega. But Salman has still got potentially an extra 10 points that he could get from qualifying, because you only get the points for the qualifying session you do. There is the replay of the Mercedes getting ahead of the BMW. And of course, Finn qualified the car today, so it'll be Salman that qualifies tomorrow. So that gap could potentially come down, but it could only come down by 10 points. Then they're going to score the same points as each other. So it is looking very good for Finn Wiebelhaus, I would say, in terms of wrapping that up now. Leighton Fury would drop behind Simon Birch rather at the moment, as it stands, although Simon has got all of his qualifying done now as well, with 10 points for qualifying on pole, 9 for qualifying second, 8 for third, and so on, down to the top 10. So Finn Wiebelhaus with his nose in front. Salman Vega will score more points than him tomorrow from qualifying, but I don't think he can close the gap enough to beat Finn to the road to DTM title. So good news for the 18-year-old, only his 2nd season of GT Masters, and his first, as it is for everybody, with the Ford Mustang, having raced the Mercedes with Janis Fischer last season. Here comes Simon Conoprim then, trying to get up the inside of the BMW, Sandro Holzem. So BMW's holding up now the Lamborghini. It looks the quicker of the 3, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think Simon Conoprim has been closing in on them. And Julian Hansen suddenly looking, after a fairly wild and fairly rapid start to the race, maybe has taken a lot out of the tyres of that BMW, because suddenly looking a little bit vulnerable to 6th place Sandro Holzem as well. You'll have also seen from your graphic that Janis Fischer received a black and white flag for the earlier incident. That's a warning, but if he gets too many of those, he could see himself with a grid drop for tomorrow's race. At the moment, no penalties, further penalties have been issued, as we look back at Simon Conoprim, who ducks to the inside of Sandro Holzem. That takes the pressure off Julian Hanses just for a bit. Holzem still remains in front in that 6th place, but Simon Conoprim in the Powell Motorsport Lamborghini, the team that is run by Max Powell and his father Tobias, running out of turn 17, out along the pit straight once again. Not really close enough to challenge into turn 1, but maybe next time into the parabolica, then Simon Conoprim will make his move on Sandro Holzem, the former DTM driver, holding off the former GT4 driver at the moment.
Meanwhile, the FAC Autotech Porsche of Alex Schwarzer, and then the 2nd driver, Alex Fack, 9th. It's leading the Pro-Am category at the moment, with Alex Carcliss back in 12th place. It means it will be 25 points coming the way of Schwarzer. In fact, 20 points as it stands coming the way of Jonas Carcliss and Emil Jördrum, and there'll be 38 points between them, with only, after this race, 28 on the table. So it should be a straightforward, as long as they finish the race, it should be straightforward for Schwarzer and Fack to wrap up this now. Even if they were to drop behind and they still have enough in hand, they've just got to basically finish the race to wrap up the Pro-Am Championship with a round to go. And in terms of where they are overall, they're 26 seconds off the lead, but their pit stop as a Pro-Am pairing will be 15 seconds shorter than most of the other silver pairings around them. And as it stands, I mean, they won't get up into the lead of the race, but they could progress up to 4th or 5th place if the pit stops were to happen now with these sorts of gaps. So although it's 9th at the moment, Alex Schwarzer, Alex Fack Porsche will be somewhere around to the top 5 positions once they come out of the pits. And with Alex Fack, the quicker of the 2 drivers normally, a very rapid driver, they could be interesting in the second half of the race, maybe even challenging for a top 3, top 4 finish.
Yes, we've seen them even as a Pro-Am pairing taking a win in GT Masters this year, so they are more than capable, and Alexander Schwarzer has been getting quicker and quicker with the coaching of the silver-rated Alex Fack as his co-driver. Simon Conor Prim continues to pile the pressure onto Sandra Holzem. The rain is starting to come down. You can see the windscreen wipers are going on the cars during certain parts of the circuit. It's not heavy rain, but it's certainly enough to maybe catch drivers out. They need to be really careful here. Meanwhile, Janis Fitcher has set a purple in Sector 1, the quickest of anybody. So clearly a lot of pace in that Mercedes at the moment. Julian Hanses clinging on for all he's worth in 5th place. Sandra Holzem still preoccupied with Simon Conor Prim. We're less than 3 minutes away from the pit window opening. That'll be the 10-minute window where everyone will need to come in. You can see on this part of the track, as they head towards the hairpin, you can see that there's a lot of rain in the air, so it's quite slippery. You can also see, I'm noticing how deep they go under braking, going right over to the white line. Julian Hanses especially so, and that's allowed Holzem to close right in on him. Sandro now challenging the supposedly identical BMW. Of course, Schubert Motorsport versus FK Performance Motorsport, but the two cars, the BMWs fighting each other, and Holzem looking the quicker of the two at the moment.
Yeah, great little battle this is. Meanwhile, Simon Birch controlling things at the head of the field in the Porsche. He's 3.2 seconds clear of Denis Bulatov, and last time around he was more than half a second a lap quicker on this now greasy track. Great shot there. The cars charging their way into the right-hander at the Mobile 1 curve. The left-hander coming up the Sachs curve, a very tricky corner. It's basically a big wide hairpin. It tempts up the inside. The Lamborghini of Simon Conor Prim, half the size of that BMW, almost underneath the radar, underneath the wing mirrors. Contact between them. The front right of the Lamborghini taps the right rear corner of the BMW, sends it a bit unstable into turn 16, but into turn 17 the BMW hangs on to it. This is the battle for the final spot on the podium. Going through your shot, Nicholas Callas in the Mustang, only 0.1 of a second clear now of Janis Fitcher in his second season of the championship, a race winner at the Red Bull Ring last year, and about to pounce. Down the inside he goes all the way into turn 2, and Fitcher is through. So that's up to 3rd place now for the Mercedes. Nicholas Callas looked like he couldn't do a great deal about that.
No, Janis Fitcher, I mean, you saw how quickly he dispatched and then left Julian Hanses in his wake. Now Hanses is but a speck in the distance, and he already opens up a gap from Nicholas Callas. So next up the road with Denis Bulatov. Bulatov is some 9.4 seconds clear of this battle here. So Janis Fitcher breaks clear and into 3rd place, the last of the podium positions. Simon Birch in control, Denis Bulatov in 2nd place, Fitcher now into 3rd, then Nicholas Callas, then Julian Hanses, and now finally Simon Conor Prim makes the move on Sandra Holzem and makes it stick. So that is a position gained up to 6th place for Simon Conor Prim. Now Julian Hanses is really going to know all about it, because that Lamborghini will probably close in on the black and white BMW with much gusto, and that'll be for 5th place. Here's a replay, and Holzem just leaving a big gap on that tricky braking into the hairpin, and that was all that Simon Conor Prim needed to come diving through. Simon
Birch coming out of the last corner, the race leader, lights on. He's coming up to lap Tim Hooton now, and he's several seconds a lap quicker, so hopefully Tim will see him coming and stay out of the way. The marshals should give the blue flags. The race leader's got 2.4 second advantage, but it's been cut slightly because Denis Bulatov set the absolute best lap of the race last time round. There you can see that the Porsche of the race leader has got that lap redone, but you can see also that Bulatov is not that far behind now. As into the pits then comes Julian Hanses in the BMW, so he's the first to come in right at the top of the pit window now to make his one mandatory pit stop. And rather unsurprisingly, I guess, Alex Schwarzer comes in with Alex Fatt, the team leader, to get into that car as quickly as possible. Looking at the record recently of Simon Birch at this track, in GT4, a winner here last year, and in the European GT4 Championship, a podium as well at Hockenheim. Clearly, Simon loves this place, the former Danish karting champion.
And of course, Simon Birch and Leo Pickler won back-to-back races to open the season this year in GT GT Masters. They were very much championship favourites. They're still in the hunt at the moment, but it's kind of out of their hands. They need to win the race, and they need to wish the worst on Finn Wiebelhaus and Salman Vega. You've just witnessed the on-board view of the driver change. That's Kari Schreiner, who jumps out. Alan Valente will get behind the wheel of the Land Motorsport Audi. The Audi R8, a fairly old model car, the oldest model in this series, but still a lot of pace in it. And the number 68 car in pink and white now with Alan Valente at the wheel. Looks like a bit of hard work getting the net across there in the number 6 car of Tim Hooter, Jonas Karklees, of course, and Emil Jerdrum. Tim Hooter in the sister car, so it'll be Emil Jerdrum, Jonas Karklees who share that car. You can see the clock ticking down, the minimum pit stop time, and it looks like they've got issues getting the window net across on that, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just not quite stretching enough, is it? So that's very difficult indeed for them. And just to confuse matters now, Tim Hooter comes in as well, so can do with getting out of the way and getting out of the pits. Simon Birch, 2.2 seconds clear. Janis Fitcher has just set the new fastest lap of the race, and it's a mega lap in the Mercedes, a 1:48.9, which was around about half a second quicker than the 2 cars ahead of him. So that track beginning to dry up a little bit, as in comes Nicholas Callas to hand over to Max Rice now. So Nicholas getting out, Max about to get in, each driver bringing their own seat, moulded and fitted to their particular size, dimensions and height as well. And in for what's sadly their second pit stop then comes Tim Zimmerman in the FK Performance BMW, because although it pitted with that puncture and the bumper damage, it's still got to do the mandatory pit stop. It's going to be just a long afternoon for them, isn't it? A lap down now, no real chance of scoring any decent points.
So that is the view on board. You also saw just now Tim Hooter handing over to John Paul Southern. Great to have him back in GT Masters. He did 4 races in 2023. The Red Bull Ring was his best, 5th place. So great to have him back, sharing the seat of that number 6 car. But we're looking at the car that coming into this race was second in the championship. Going to struggle to stay there. Right now, tyre changes going on. So it looks like they are rolling the dice big time here, because tyre changes are not allowed unless you are switching from wet weathers to slicks or slicks to wet weather tyres. So you saw the tyre changes for the number 11 car. So this may be one last attempt to get back up into the points. Leighton Furry is going to have his hands full with that BMW, because that is going to be really slippery in these conditions.
Mine as well, though. They've got absolutely nothing to lose, really. I don't think they care whether they finish 2nd, 3rd or 4th in the championship. They've got to try and stay in it to win it, and the only way they're going to make a lap back up is by being massively quicker, and the only way that's going to happen is if you're on a different tyre. So it's worth a throw of the dice, I reckon, for them. Meanwhile, Alex Fatt now behind the wheel of the Fatt Auto Tech Porsche. He is the leading pit stopper, so he's charging along. He's just going down into the Spitzkehrer. There's Luca Engstler to the left of the picture. He's just finished his DTM race, and was a race winner here at Hockenheimring with the DTM last year. And then second of the pit stoppers is Eduardo Cosseteng in the FK Performance BMW. There's about 5 seconds between them. And then it'll be Alan Valente in the Audi, with Land having just celebrated a podium in the DTM for a 2nd consecutive race weekend in the DTM with Ricardo Feller as well, after winning at the previous round at Spielberg. So good news that for Alex Fatt, because he's a quick driver. He's got ahead of a few drivers already with that shorter pit stop, including Cosseteng and Valente, and also then a couple of others. Into the pits now, though, has come Dennis Fetzer in one of the Ford Mustangs.
And he's swapping over with Jonathan Cecotto on his first ever season in ADAC GT Masters in the number 2 car. Have been near to a podium on a couple of occasions this year, but still yet to get onto that podium in the HRT Gold and Black Mustang. It's a very rapid car. It's the sister car to the championship leader as well. So Fetzer helps Cecotto to get bolted in, strapped in, plugged in, and now in comes Denis Bulatov. So the car from 2nd place, Nico Handke, will be limbering up in the wings, getting ready to jump behind the number 60 Sheriff Sport PHX Audi.
Great battle has just gone through turn 1 to become the leader of the pit stoppers. Max Rice was being charged down by Alex Fatt. They were absolutely nose to tail as we went past the commentary box. So Max in the number 3 maroon and white Mustang for HRT, having taken over from Nicholas Callas, and Alex Fack in the white Fack Autotech Porsche. absolutely nose to tail still as they go through the Parabolica. So they're leading 2 pit stoppers. Then you've got Eduardo Cosseteng next up. And then you've got, I think, the actual race leader right behind him, because it almost costs you a lap when you come in to make these mandatory pit stops.
Finn Wiebelhaus, championship leader, is into the pits. Salmon Ovega will be waiting to take over the baton of the #1 Hout Racing Team Mustang. Can they clinch this championship with a race to spare? It's all going to be down to Salmon Ovega now to bring it home. Finn Wiebelhaus is done for today. He'll be back tomorrow for the second stint, but now it's all about Salmon Ovega. He gets the seat insert in place, punches it to make sure it's well seated, then he climbs on board. Also in Simon Konoprim, who'll be handing over to Finn Zulauf, the driver who clinched the ADAC GT4 Germany at this circuit, at this event last year. Now he is behind the wheel of the Lamborghini, and they wait for the clock to tick down. They'll want to try and hit the exit line when the clock strikes 0. And you've just noticed that Fack has got in front of Rice.
He has, so potentially going for a podium finish here. Alex Fack has not only got past Max Rice on that lap, he has left him behind. So he comes out of the final turn, past the commentary box window. The Porsche, the leading pit stopper, around about a second clear now of Max Rice in that Mustang. So still others to come in and make their pit stops, including the overall race leader, Simon Birch, who now makes his way in after an excellent first stint.
So Leo Pickler will be waiting for the Razzoon More Than Racing Porsche to come to a stop, and then he will come from the garage to get into the seat. Also coming in, Janis Fitcher, Moritz Viskersen will be standing by to take over the wheel of the #21 car. Here comes Moritz sprinting out of the garage. Can't come out until the car stops. You're only allowed 2 mechanics to work on the car. Only thing they can do is take tire pressures, nothing else. The Lollipop man there as well, just checking everything is okay. The outgoing driver helps the incoming driver to get strapped in. That's all done and dusted. There's Leo Pickler now behind the wheel of the Razzoon More Than Racing Porsche. The Porsche certainly the weapon of choice here in these greasy conditions at the Hockenheimring. We saw it in the DTM earlier. We're seeing it in the GT Masters. They're certainly the car to be having at the moment in these conditions. The clock ticks down, and now Juliano Holzum takes over from his twin brother. So Sandro is done for today. He wishes good luck to Juliano Holzum, helps him to get buckled up, puts the net across and will slam the door, and then Juliano Holzum will try and hit the white line on the exit of the pits when the clock strikes 0. Right, here comes Nico Handke. He has stopped. Everything's up to temperature. He's up to temperature, so out he comes along towards turn 1 at the moment. Now up ahead of him is the #14 car, so he's up towards turn 2 at the moment is Leo Pickler. So Pickler in a strong position at the moment, but still getting up to speed.
Alex Fack, already having made his pit stop, just goes over the start-finish line, so he's on for a podium here, potentially. Then you got Max Rice, who's 2.6 seconds behind him now in the Ford Mustang. And then Finn Zulauf, looking very strong, last year's GT4 champion in the Pal Motorsport Lamborghini. He's only a second behind Max Rice. They're just coming through the shot now. So real chance here of fighting for a podium for Alex Fack once this all sorts itself out. But looking very strong now is the Simon Birch, now Leo Pickler driven Porsche, which got cleanly through that pit stop. Some great super slow-mos here. I was talking to a couple of drivers this morning, including Salmon Ovega, and he said these curbs, a couple of them are pretty brutal. He said the worst one is into turn 7 once you come out of the Spitzkehrer. There's a big sausage curb there. He said, yeah, I was purposefully avoiding it this morning because we've just got to look after the car today and bring the car home, and these things get unsettled very easily. You can damage the car. You've seen steering damage to several cars in several championships this weekend, suspension damage, so they are pretty brutal, some of these curbs around here. And if you're trying to win a championship and bring a car home, you can understand why Salmon, who knows how to win a championship, was saying that it's about just getting the job done at the moment. Whether they win or finish 5th or finish 7th, they've just got to make sure they finish the race.
Yeah, and the pressure is off at the moment as a result of their championship lead. The pressure is certainly not off Leo Pickler in the lead of the race, but Nico Handke bearing down on him. And across the start-finish line they come. The gap 1.809, so he's taken about a 10th out of him on that last lap. He's got 24.25 minutes. Should be no more pit stops remaining. Moritz Viskersen is a little way back from them, about 10.1 seconds back. So this is the fight for the lead, and it's a two-car fight for the lead at the moment. Can Leo Pickler, relatively new to this discipline, hold off Nico Handke? That Audi has looked really rapid all race long so far, with the rain still in the air, heading towards the hairpin once again. That's your race leader, first and second. Now in the braking zone, into the hairpin they come, and Pickler will be aware that Handke is bearing down on him, needs to keep his eyes in front, not be worrying about what's going on behind him. Then there is third place. There is Moritz Viskersen and Alex Fack a little way back from them as well. Now just coming into the hairpin, there's Alex Fack. And then behind them is Max Rice. And the ailing BMW a long way back. Leighton Furry down in 14th place. So this is the opposite to what they were hoping for today.
Yeah, and that car, well, it's just done a 2 minutes 11 second lap, whereas the front runners are 150, so slick tyres struggling. This is the battle between Max Rice, 5th in the maroon and white number 3 Mustang, run by Haupt Racing, Hubert Haupt's team, and number 33 Finn Zulav, looking very rapid in that Lamborghini, the Pal Motorsport Lamborghini. There's only now 0.7 of a second between them, no traction whatsoever for Leighton Fury, the former BMW M2 Cup champion, raced to the top 4, finishing the GT4 championship last year. They had to roll the dice, but it was a bit desperate really, and it is not working at the moment. It is way too damp and greasy and slippery, even on the racing line, let alone off it, to try and control over 550 brake horsepower on a slick Pirelli tyre. So a lap down already, or several laps down now, and starting to go further backwards. A massively frustrating end to the season it has been for Tim Zimmerman and Leighton Fury, who up until 2/3 of the way through the season were looking like real title contenders, but the season has just slipped away. So in terms of that battle for the final spot of the podium, Viskersen 6.4 seconds clear of Alex Fack, but he's also got a bit of a cushion between them, because Southern is in between them in 13th place, a lap down. So okay at the moment for Viskersen. His last lap though was a second slower than Alex Fack's last lap, so Alex Fack still closing up, catching the gap and going for that final spot on the podium.
I think Leighton Fury would be quite happy just to part the thing up and go and have a cup of tea. I mean, adding salt into the wounds as your main championship rival putting a lap on you, and you can see how quickly Vega has left him in his wake, and Chicotto has just done the same as well. They just did something different to try and get something from this race, but it's clearly not working, and the BMW really struggling on those slick tyres. But Salmon and Vega going very deep into the hairpin there, and again, we said it before, we say it again, the points are not paid out until the end of the race. You've still got to bring it home to get the points for 9th place. Vega doing nothing wild at the moment, just bringing it home nice and steady, nice and consistently. At the moment, at the front, Leo Pickler leads the way, doing a sterling job actually, 1.7 seconds clear of Nico Handke. So maintaining the gap, Moritz Viskersen some 9.9 seconds back from them. Look at Fury. Well, he's got slick tyres on. He might as well do a bit of drifting while he's at it. There's a good view of the inside of the back end of a BMW there. But I just wonder whether they're just going to decide is enough, you know. They've got 20 minutes of this. The BMW just struggling just to keep the thing on the track.
Well, the moment, if it comes, that the track becomes dry enough that the slick tyres are quicker, then everybody else will see that, and everybody else will probably change to the slicks anyway. So really frustrating. I totally understand why they did it. I was just thinking back to the first time I saw Leighton Fury racing over here in Europe, was at this track at Hockenheim at the end of the 2022 season. He came and did a round of the BMW M2 Cup and got the podium in his first try, and then came and did the full season and ended up winning the championship. A very different day today, I'm afraid, for Leighton and his teammate Tim Zimmerman, trundling around back in 14th place and 2 laps down. Nico Handke, I spoke to him this morning as well, the Audi there. He predicted that if it was wet, the Porsche would be the car to beat, and he was right to a point, wasn't he? But it's not wet anymore, Brian. It is now damp and greasy, and in these conditions, that Audi with Nico Handke behind the wheel looking very good, looking exceptional, in fact, and closing down rapidly. The gap was 1.2 seconds at the end of the previous lap. It looks to be about half of that now. And Nico's had this tremendous comeback from his massive crash that he had at the Salzburg ring, getting a win last time out at the Red Bull ring. Could he get another one now with Dennis Bolotov here in the final weekend of the season?
Yeah, he'll say, oh, too little, too late, but I'll take it. Any silverware has got to be good. You can see the car dancing around on the slippery surface, but he took half a second out of Leo Pickler on the previous lap. Is 1.245 last time across the line. What's it going to be this time? About half a second, just over, just under 6/10. So he's half the gap. That's exactly what you said. It's turn one. So Leo Pickler now with a lot of pressure coming from Nico Handke. That Audi loving these drying conditions. They're on the wet weather tyres, and the drivers will be looking for wet patches on the track to try and keep those tyres cool, because they'll start to tear apart if you overheat them. But at the moment, Nico Handke with all the momentum. They've both broken clear of Moritz Verskirchen. He is currently 10.8 seconds back from this battle. So this is all about the top step of the podium. Nico Handke with the momentum, with the slipstream along the parabolica into the hairpin to the outside. Leo Pickler being careful to get the braking right. Then Handke ducks back to the inside on the exit of the hairpin. Is not able to get alongside the Porsche in front, but now has a little look to the right-hand side, ducks back behind, but no hurry here. There's no challenge from behind. He can take his time, doesn't need to take any risks, putting the pressure onto Leo Pickler, trying to force him to go deep into the corner. Now the Audi pulls alongside the Porsche. He's going to try and go the long way around. Leo Pickler doesn't really have anything to defend with, and sailing to the lead of the race, Nico Handke takes control in the Audi.
And the battle for third is about to kick off, because Alex Fack just set the best lap of the race, and it was 1.8 seconds quicker than Verskirchen in the Mercedes. So he started the lap 3.2 seconds behind, and he's probably going to halve that gap as well now. Just see them going into the Sachs curve. They've still got the Lambo in between them, but Alex Fack charging down now. We want to get past Southern as quickly as possible to go and try and get that final spot on the podium from the Schnitzelalm yellow and black Mercedes driven by Moritz Verskirchen. But great job by Nico Handke into the lead of the race. As you said, he's just got more traction at the moment. There wasn't a great deal Leo Pickler could do about it, and he's already half a second clear. So even with the overtake, he was more than a second quicker on that lap. Handke leads, Pickler second, Verskirchen now only 2 seconds clear of Fack. That gap is down to just over 2 seconds. They're making their way into turn two at the moment with the number 6 Lamborghini of Jean-Paul Southern in between them.
So our eyes are on the race for the lead. Our eyes are also on the Pro-Am leader. In fourth place, can Alex Fack and Alexander Schwarzer celebrate retaining the Pro-Am Championship by standing on the overall podium? Because at the moment, it is the fastest car on the track. Alex Fack with that monstrous 148.6. Looking again at the change for the lead. Leo Pickler has that gap on the inside. Nico Handke takes a look on the right-hand side, then ducks back to the left-hand side. And Leo Pickler just doesn't have the grip that the Audi has. No, Leo Pickler has the gap, has the grip that the Porsche doesn't have, and sails past into the lead. And Leo Pickler doesn't have anything to defend with. And now you can see that gap has opened up. It was half a second last time across the line. I think it's going to be quite a lot more than that next time they cross the start-finish line. With 15.5 minutes remaining, there's Moritz Verskirchen. Look how quickly Alex Fack has closed in on the last of the podium positions. There's confirmation of that 148.618. We're on board with Alex Fack now. He can see third place up ahead of him. That is Alex Fack at the wheel, steely-eyed and focused on the job in hand. Moritz Verskirchen, the less experienced of the GT3 drivers, out onto the pit straight. They're going to cross the line. Well, we know that the gap has come down. What will the gap be? 9/10 of a second this time around.
That is 3 consecutive fastest laps of the race for Alex Fack. Former Mobile One Porsche Super Cup race winner at the British Grand Prix. Lights ablaze, eyes wide. He's catching the gap. On that lap he dispatched, put a lap on Jean-Paul Southern. So it's a straight fight now for the final spot on the podium. The gap was about 5 laps ago, 5.5 seconds. It's now 0.9 seconds There's been a response of kind from Moritz Viskirchen, but he's not been caught by 2.5 a lap anymore, but he's still been caught fairly massively, a second quicker on that lap. So they're coming down into the braking zone now for the spit scare. It's greasy, it's tricky. Every time they get there, there's different amounts of grip levels. The Mercedes looks like it's all over the place. The Porsche looks like it is planted and on a pair of rails. That rain is going away, the track is drying up, and Alex Fack is using all of his experience. The sparks flying from the Mercedes. He's pushing on still as they come into turn 8, but it feels inevitable. He's going to have to get into a fight now to hold on to the silverware, and he's still got 14 minutes and a lap to go.
So with one hand on the Pro-Am trophy to retain the title, Alex Fack at the wheel, the Fack Autotech Porsche, the team that have featured in the history of GT Masters, have come back in the Pro-Am race last year. They won the Pro-Am title. Team Alex Fack and Alexander Schwarzer now looking to retain that title and looking to do it in style with a podium finish in the overall race. Moritz Viskirchen, who's come through the world of ADAC GT for Germany at the wheel of the big GT3 Mercedes AMG, but now with that Porsche bearing down out across the line, it was 9/10 of a second. The gap between them is now 0.458, so Fack has halved the gap once again. So now biding his time into turn 2, they come and out towards turns 3 and 4, then soon they'll be onto the parabolic. You can see Fax just ducking off the racing line, trying to find a bit of moisture to try and cool those wet weather tyres to keep them all together. They've still got to last for another 12 3/4 minutes. Meanwhile, behind, it is Max Rice at the wheel of the number 3 car with Finn Zulaf bearing down on him. So this is for 5th place.
Yeah, Zulaf looks good, doesn't he? He's had a really good stint so far. Viskirchen has just set the absolute best first sector time in response to having lost that battle potentially with Alex Fack, or about to lose it potentially to Alex Fack. So he's fighting hard and has responded with a really good first sector. So he saw the Porsche coming, thought, I've got to pull my finger out here if I'm going to keep him behind. And he did. And through that first sector, Viskirchen 23.9. It was actually 3/10 quicker than the Porsche. So it's the first time in ages that he's grown his advantage, but it shows that the track is drying up because Nico Henke's just done the absolute best first sector time now. Still not slick tyres though. Leighton Fury is going much quicker than he was, but it's still about 3 seconds a lap off the pace, although he was about 13 seconds a lap off the pace at one point. So wonder if some of them will start to get a bit twitchy and think about slick tyres now. But further back down the order you might. If you're at the front, you've kind of got to stick with it because it's not the work of a moment to come in and make the pit stop and change the tyres. So look at this, Alex Fack, much better grip through the turn at 16, through the right-hander at 17. It'll be tough to overtake on the way into the Nord curve, Brian, but there'll be an opportunity, I think, into turn 2.
Yes, so that little stretch of the power out of turn 1 in towards turn 2, and if not there, then maybe out towards the hairpin as they head along the parabolica. At the moment, Viskirchen is being distracted by the flashing lights in his mirrors. Back has a little look to the outside, but no real challenge, just trying to unsettle the Mercedes that's in front of him. But now the opportunity is going to come because they're about to head into the parabolica. Fack is up nice and close. He pulls alongside the Mercedes. The two cars, a drag race in towards the hairpin, but more power for the Porsche, and then under braking as long as he can get it slowed down into the right-hander hairpin. Position has been taken up into a podium position for Alex Fack and Alexander Schwarzer. It is the Pro-Am lead. It will be a Pro-Am championship. And just to add to it, it will be a podium in the overall race. Now, how far back are they? They're about 6.9 seconds back from second place Leo Pickler. Having a look again on this flat-out corner, the parabolica. Great bit of circuit, great opportunity. And then he'd got the job done long before they'd hit the breaking point into the hairpin.
Yeah, Alex Fack and Alex Schwarzer, their best weekend at the Nürburgring with a win there, only of the season, and the third, and that was a big old moment for Eduardo Cosseteng, way wide and through the gravel trap, just glancing the barriers Did a good job though to get the car out of the gravel track. Could have easily got stuck, but lost time and positions as a result of that. Two of them down behind Vega and Cicotto. So Vega got ahead of Jonathan Cicotto on the previous lap as well. So up to 8th place now. Another championship point. They're going to be more than enough clear. Was it 38 clear? 28 points left on the table. So not a great race this for Salmon Vega and Finn Wiebelhaus, but enough it will be to wrap up the championship title as it stands, as Max Rice is forced to go wide because of all the pressure that's coming. He dips the wheel off onto the grass, which is mud, which also has puddles on it, and there he goes super wide, way over the very wet painted curbs there, trying to hang on to this position through turn 1, the Nord curve. It's almost dry there under braking into turn 2, but the car is dancing all over the place. The back end almost swaps positions on him. The Mustang is proving very difficult to drive in these greasy conditions, and now this should be the opportunity for Finn Zulauf coming out through the parabolica to pounce, but he's got to try and find a way past a big wide Ford Mustang. When they get down to the Spitzkehrer, it's dry in parts, there's water on the track in others. It's very unpredictable. You've got to get the braking just right. Try not to go into the back of the Mustang. Here is Finn Zulauf, but he now sends the car wide coming out of the turn up towards turn 7. The right-hander coming up. He's got the momentum, but he can't quite get through.
You get the feeling that those wet weather tyres on the back of the Max Rice car have about come to the end of their life as they head into the left-hander. You can see the back end really struggling for grip, but at the moment still holding off Finn Zulauf. So this is the fight for 5th place. Max Rice in the Mustang, but Finn Zulauf, man on a charge. The driver who's the outgoing ADAC GT4 Germany champion, now trying to push his way forward. Was very disappointed with the progress that he and Simon Conoprim have made this season. Had a lot of bad luck as well, but want to finish on a high, want to get as many points as possible. Max Rice, though, just pulling clear a little bit on this sector. So the final sector of the track, the Mustang is able just to break clear of the Lamborghini.
Tell you what, Alex Fack is not yet done. He's done another fastest lap of the race. Everybody in the top 10 has just done personal bests, but a 1:47.4 for Alex Fack in the Porsche was 1.4 seconds quicker than Leo Pickler in the 2nd place Porsche. The gap down to 4.6 seconds. If he keeps that up within 4 laps, he's going to be on 2nd place. So battle between the Porsches to come now. Maurice Wittskirchen in 4th place. Max Rice, you're looking at in 5th. Finn Zulauf in 6th place in the Lamborghini, just behind him. And Leighton Fury on the slick tyres has just set the absolute best first sector. So I think it's on this lap, maybe the next, where the crossover will come and the slick tyre will become the quicker tyre to be on.
But there's less than 7 minutes plus 1 lap remaining of this race, so it's not going to be enough to help Leighton Fury and Tim Zimmerman. You've got to give credit to them for giving it a try. But yeah, that purple in the Sector 1, a personal best in Sector 2 in that car, which has bits missing off it as well. At the moment, Handke in control, but 4.223 clear of Leo Pickler, who has Alex Fack bearing down on him. We have 6.5 minutes remaining, and if things remain as they are now, we will be crowning the new champions of ADAC GT Masters with 1 race to spare. That car there with Salmon Ovega. He won the championship back in 2023 with Elias Seppänen. Seppänen went on to retain the championship last year. Seppänen not racing in it this year. Salmon Ovega would love to get his name back on the trophy. Finn Wiebelhaus came into GT Masters last year. Has always been a challenger, always somebody that we've seen as a potential champion. Is he less than 6 minutes away from a first ever GT Masters championship? Nico Handke leading the way. There's Leo Pickler in 2nd place. There is the fast charging Alex Fack in 3rd, and then it's Moritz Wittskirchen, and then a long way back before we wait for Max Rice to come round the corner, still being hounded by Finn Zulauf.
Look how quick it's drying. Leighton Fury has just done the fastest lap of the race on the slick tyre. Zulauf has a big look at the inside here of the Mustang. Max Rice just about closes the door in time, but Leighton Fury with a 1:46.2, which is getting on for 1.5 seconds quicker than most of the drivers at the sharp end. So all of a sudden, having been a bit slower, he's 1.5 seconds quicker within the space of 2 minutes. So that is just showing you how quickly it is drying out, even though there's still these big damp patches at various parts of the circuit. Look at this battle down at the Spitzkehrer, though. The Mustang of Max Rice struggling to lay down the power. A big V8 roaring. Windscreen wipers on for Finn Zulauf. We've still got this sort of muddy spits of water coming on from the back of that Mustang, which will be making life hard with his visibility here, even if there's not much spray. But again, Max Rice doing a really good job here. He's just leaving the car on the racing line. He's tempting a few gaps here and there, but every time that Lamborghini thinks about a move, he just gets on the traction, gets it laid down and pulls away coming out of the corner. So Rice, for now, has a bit of breathing space as he comes into the Sachs-Curve.
And remember, the tyres on that Mustang have done 55 minutes of racing, and they finally run out of grip into the Sachs-Curve. He goes deep and leaves the door open, and that's the only invitation Finn Zulauf needed to jump through and steal away 5th place. So Max Rice relegated down to 6th. But the tyres on those cars have done almost an hour of racing, and they're wet weather tyres on a drying track. Really abrasive for those tyres, holding them together, and the grip finally going away on the number 3 car, and that allows the 33 of Finn Zulauf to go through. This was the moment, going deep into the Sachs-Curve at turn 13. He kept it out of the gravel. That was the important bit, so he's able to keep going, but there's nothing he can do about the Power Motorsport Lamborghini.
Just about to come over the start-finish line. Looks like Alan Valente's got past Eduardo Cosseteng. He has, so up to 10th place for Alan. He's driven a Mercedes, a Ferrari, and now an Audi in this championship. There he is, having got the job done. So up into the top 10 for the Land Motorsport team. Started at the back of the field after their gear-related issues in qualifying. Leighton Fury, 144.2 on the slick tyre now, at the back of the field, 2 laps down. Do you know, if this race was another 10 minutes longer, I reckon there might be somebody in and around the middle of the field that might think it's worth coming in, you know, and putting the slick tyres on. We'll lose time in the pits, but going way quicker. But you can still see how slippy it is if you get it wrong and you get it off the racing line there. That was Jonathan Cecotto going way out wide, but getting past Salmon Vega, who also did the same. Here's a replay, just got the back end of this. Was there contact? Teammates, one of them tried to win the championship. That wasn't the best move, was it? So it was deliberate. He just couldn't get the car turned in because he was on that wet patch there. And Salmon Vega just dived out of the way. He said, well, come through if you want. I've just got to finish this race to win the championship.
Well, it won't be the first time we've seen a couple of HRT cars getting together this season. There's 3 of them in the race, so I suppose the chances are reasonably good. But at the moment, it looks like they've all survived. But Cecotto relegating Ovega down to 9th place. That's still enough points to clinch the championship in 2 minutes plus 1 lap. So that's all that is remaining of this race. That's all that's remaining for Salmon Ovega, along with Finn Wieberhaus, to take the championship for 2025 with 1 race remaining. But they need less incidents like we've just seen with Johnny Cecotto. They need to just bring it home. Now look at this. Alex Fack has caught up with Leo Pinkler. This is for 2nd place. So the Pro-Am leader has caught Leo Pinkler. Porsche versus Porsche. Meanwhile, the instruction has been given for Jonathan Cecotto and Salmon Vega to change positions. So the race director has said, that's not good enough. You could do it again. This is the fight for 2nd place. Pinkler in the red and white Porsche. Alex Fack in the red and white Porsche. Moritz Miskirchen too far back to get involved if these 2 cars get together at the moment. But the fight for 2nd place continues. Up ahead of them, Nico Handke has 5.5 seconds. Right, well, there's the coordinated choreography that goes on. So now Cecotto's got to do it all again.
Yeah, it doesn't matter though, because it's still either way around more than enough to wrap up the championship by 39 points now, by 38 if he was behind his teammate. And this was in just making way, Jonathan Cecotto. So it might be a brief conversation between the 2 afterwards, because that was a definite heart in mouth moment for Salmon Vega. Now look at this then, Pinkler versus Fack for the final spot on the podium into the final minute that's left on the clock, with the added on lap at the end of this race. And this is what it looks like to be trying to defend from the 2-time Swiss Porsche Sprint champion Alex Fack. Very experienced, all over the back of Leo Pinkler. The gap is absolutely behind the other Porsche. Challenging hard now, Pinkler versus Fack. 0.4 of a second they go through. We've got Nico Hanke 6 seconds clear of them in a world of his own, looking very good. Just about seeing the distance there, can't you? So he is well clear. These two are now free to fight. Pickler versus Fack. The gap down to just a few tenths of a second.
1.5 laps remaining of the penultimate race of the 2025 season for the ADAC GT Masters. The win is looking reasonably secure at the moment, as long as Nico Hanke can bring it home without any dramas. Second place, very much up for grabs. Leo Pickler with Alex Fack, the Porsche Mobil 1 Super Cup winner, the Porsche 6 Carrera Cup Germany winner, bearing down on Leo Pickler. But Pickler just needs to hold it all together for what remains of this lap, plus one more, and then he will have that second place. But conditions are really tricky, and Fack knows what he's doing. He's putting the pressure on now into the Sachs curve. He goes to the inside line. He remembers what he did on a previous overtake, but at the moment Pickler holds it all together, keeps it together, picks up a bit of curb into turn 16 and then out onto turn 17. Nico Hanke starts the final lap of the race.
Hanke leads, Pickler second, Fack third, right with him. Viskirchen kind of on his own now in fourth. Finn Zulav, having worked hard to get past Max Rice, up into fifth place. Rice in sixth, Holtzum in seventh, Avega and teammate Wiebelhaus eighth are on the way to the championship title. A second it would be for Salman Avega, but this is going to be down to the wire. This battle for second place, nose to tail now for the final time into turn two, through the left at turn three, ending the first sector within about a car and a half length of each other. Flat out now through the Parabolica, they'll get to about 250, maybe 260 kilometers now. They'll slam on the brakes for one last attack into the Spitzkehrer, the hairpin. This has got to be judged just to perfection here by Leo Pickler.
So under braking, keeping to the dry line, but Alex Fack ducks to the inside. Pickler has the more momentum around the outside of the hairpin, holds on to that position. Alex Fack now starting to run out of opportunities to get past into that second place. He may get an opportunity to challenge into turn 8, which is where they're coming now, into the left-hander under braking. But Pickler still has it under control, positioning the Porsche perfectly. Now into turn 9 and 10 they will come, and then it's into turn 11. It'll squirt onto the power. No real opportunity to get past here. So Pickler looks to have this covered off at the moment. Alex Fack in a podium position, but fancies moving up a step into turn 12. They come into the Sachs curve for the very last time. But up ahead of them, Nico Hanke and Dennis Bulatov have done all the hard work. It's Nico Hanke that is at the wheel of the number 16 car, and he is about to exit turn 17. It's going to be a second ever win in ADAC GT Masters for Nico Hanke and Dennis Bulatov. Out across the line in second place, Leo Pickler crosses the line along with Simon Burks to take that second place. They're able to retain the championship in the Pro-Ams. Alex Fack and Alexander Schwarzer with that third place. Moritz Viskirchen will come next, then Finn Zulav, but we are waiting for the number 1 car to come across the line. Chicotto's just ahead as we look at Nico Hanke. Dennis Bulatov slowing down, but we still wait for the number 1 car to come across the line, because when it does, it will be a championship decided in the ADAC GT Masters. We're riding on board with Juliana Holzum at the moment, but now out of the final corner will come Salman Ovega to win the championship, along with Finn Wiebelhaus, the new champions of ADAC GT Masters. It's a second ever championship for Salman Ovega, a first ever championship for Finn Wiebelhaus.
Yeah, bravo, well done. A tough day at the office for them, but they brought it home, and that's what they needed to do. And really, you can say they won the championship last time out. That superb display with that win and the second at the Red Bull Ring. Took the pressure off here, which they needed. They had a comfortable margin, just had to come home with a decent finish, which they did in the end. 9th place, enough. And who cares what results you got? It's just whether or not you're the champion, and provisionally they will be the champions. Well done as well to Alex Fack and Alex Schwartz at 2 consecutive Pro-Am Championship titles. The drama went down to the wire by the looks of it for Juliano Holzum. Yeah, wide and through the gravel trap. Sachs curve of that as well, catching him out. And this is what it looked like on board. He's about the 25th driver to go off the road here this weekend. At this particular corner, whether it's been dry, wet or damp, it's been really difficult for the drivers, that corner. this weekend, but he got it out of the gravel trap. Unfortunately, though, dropping down the order. So 8th place finish in the end for him. Jonathan Cicotto got back ahead of Vega, having let him go, and then got past that car as well when Hodgson went through the gravel trap. So Jonathan Cicotto and Dennis Fetzer ended up, in the end, 7th place.
Brilliant stuff, and a really strong showing, scoring more points for Haupt Racing towards the championship. I haven't worked out the team standings yet, but Haupt Racing will have extended their lead in the team standings. But there you see Alex Fack along with Alexander Schwarzer. Last year, they were the first ever Pro-Am Cup champions in ADAC GT Masters, and they have successfully retained that title. Pretty dominant display in this race. One of the fastest cars on the track, although I say one of, because the actual fastest lap of the race went to Leighton Fury on lap 29 on those slick tyres. But subject to confirmation, this is your classification. Dennis Bolotov, Nico Handke on the top step of the podium, Simon Birch, Leo Pickler second, and then the Pro-Am pairing of Alexander Schwarzer and Alex Fack third, ahead of Janis Fitcher and Moritz Verskirchen. Simon Colleprem, Finn Zulav doing well for 5th place, ahead of Nicholas Callas and Max Rice. Dennis Fetzer, Jonathan Cicotto, the last of the HRT cars, ahead of the Holzum twins, and then Finn Wiebelhaus and Salman Ovega taking the championship with a 9th place, ahead of Carrie Schreiner and Alan Valente, Julian Hanses and Eduardo Cosateng, and then it was Emil Yerdrum and Jonas Karkley, second of the Pro-Ams, ahead of John Paul Southern and Tim Hooter. Then at the rear in 14th place, Leighton Fury and Tim Zimmerman.
Yeah, and I reckon it will be a double celebration for Haupt for HRT. I reckon provisionally they scored 19 points there, only 7 points for FK Performance, whose best car was only 11th, the Eduardo Cosateng and Julian Hanses car. The other car, of course, 14th and at the back of the field. And so 74 points clear, only 45 points left available. For FK Performance were the only team that could beat them, so I reckon HRT have got the team's title as well. And that's no mean feat, Brian, given that they're running the Ford Mustang for the first time ever in the championship. They've got the driver's title, and they've also, I reckon, got the team's title sewn up with a race to go.
So that will be history in the making, a first ever championship win for Ford Mustang in the ADAC GT Masters. We saw Mustang taking its first ever race win, and that was doing it back-to-back on the same weekend at the Nürburgring earlier this year. But Mustang now taking the championship. They've arrived in the GT Masters this year, and they have arrived with so much force, and with Haupt Racing running those cars, you always knew they were going to be contenders. But how quick have they been? Mega quick, taking the championship with one race remaining. But there's life in the old Audi yet, isn't there? Nobody should write off the Audi R8, because Nico Handke and Dennis Bolotov have shown how it is done. And with Scherer PHX, of course, the team that came from the ashes of Phoenix Motorsport, and Ernst Moser stepping aside for his son to take over the reins of that team. And Ron Moser, this is the son of Ernst, and done a great job preparing that car. Of course, they had that big crash at Salzburg Ring a few weeks ago, and I don't know if it's the same chassis or whether it's a replacement, but whatever they've done, the car has been on rails ever since then. There is a confirmation of the classification, a really clear lead for Salman Ovega and Finn Wiebelhaus, and with 28 points on the table, they cannot be caught in the GT Masters Championship. However, tomorrow we've still got the Road to DTM Championship to be decided. I believe the Silver Championship, the Silver Cup, has also gone the way of Salman Ovega and Finn Wiebelhaus. So, interestingly enough, it's going to be an inter-team battle between Finn Wiebelhaus and Salman Ovega for the Road to DTM Championship title, with Leighton Fury in 3rd place, and I think he'll be maybe too far back to catch them in the championship. But funding for DTM in 2026.
Yeah, I may be wrong, but I think Finn Wiebelhaus can't be caught now because he's done his qualifying. Salman Ovega's got to qualify yet. Even if he got pole and 10 points, he closed the gap. I reckon it's 12 at the moment to 2. And of course, they'll score the same as each other in the race because they're teammates. So provisionally, I might be wrong, but I think Finn might have this done.
Wow.
Yeah, that's great news for him. And Salman Ovega looks like he's going to make it a 1-2 in that championship for HRT as well. So what a weekend it has been for them. I guess the battle tomorrow tomorrow now will be for second in the championship as Tim Zimmerman and Leighton Fury try to dig a bit of a positive out of what has been a tough end to the season. But great effort by this pair, Alex Fack and Alex Schwarzer, provisionally Pro-Am champions for the second season running, and a great drive to the overall podium.
Yeah, brilliant. And to come through the third step of the podium against all the silver pairings. There is Simon Birch and Leo Pickler, the taller of the two. They take the second step of the podium. But what a comeback after the down of Salzburg Ring. Dennis Bulatov, Nico Handke, their second win of the season in ADAC GT Masters to the top step. And Shera PHX sent a representative onto the podium as well to pick up the trophy on behalf of the team. So Alex Fack and Alexander Schwarzer also first place for the Pro-Ams, so we don't need to get anyone else on the podium, but we do need to have the national anthem. So, national anthem done, and the trophies to be awarded. And there is a face from the past. Herman Tomczyk, the honorary sports president of the ADAC. Great guy. Of course, the father of Martin Tomczyk, another legendary driver and now boss at Apt Racing, presenting the trophies to the winners. Great to see Herman around. Andre Veltz from Badische Winselkeller presenting the second place trophies to Leo Pickler and Simon Birch. And then we'll have some trophies for Team Alex V. Nithel, Master Sergeant, German Armed Forces. See them represented in the paddock here. Great recruitment drive going on here at Hockenheimring this weekend. So they present the third place trophies. And Alex Fack and Schwarzer will have an armful of trophies. Christian Meyer-Henschel, Managing Director of BHT Germany and Switzerland, presents the team trophy to Shera PHX. What a comeback for them. And Herman Tomczyk presents the winners' trophies to the Pro-Am pairing as well. I bet they've got a fair few of those they've collected over the last couple of years. So we squeeze up for the trophy. So if we are correct, we believe that all the championships are decided, but that is all very much subject to confirmation. It means that tomorrow, for the final race of the season, we're racing for glory. It'll be gloves off here at the Hockenheimring. Join us for race 12, the final race of the season here tomorrow. We'll see you then.
And that's a tricky corner. Placed a big wide hairpin in 10th.
ADAC GT Masters. We are go. The car's found out. And he's given the squeeze. Look at this, side by side. Pulling out right in front. And really good close racing. Wonderful stuff.